Look, the boat's on fire. Oh, that's a spoiler. Oh. So, Red Seas Under Red Skies by Scott Lynch. The second book in the Gentleman Bastard series. So just in case you haven't read the first book, there are some spoilers for the first book. Not for this one, but the first one. So if you haven't read it, read it. Or watch my review. That's good too. But for this second installment of the Gentleman Bastards, honestly, I think actually I like this book the best so far out of all the books in the series, or the 3 books in the series so far. It is probably the most, I think, crazy in the sense of plot, where it goes all over the place. But basically, it takes place right after, or 2 years later, after the end of the first book, where, as you know, the Gentleman Bastards, most of them die. And so you have John and Locke on a boat fleeing Camor, trying to figure out how to stabilize. And finally they have 2 years later, and they started again up to their old ways of creating a heist in the city of Tel Varar. I don't even know exactly how to pronounce it, but the city of Tel Varar, which is I guess the best way to describe it, Las Vegas of this world, or people go there to gamble, or the people with the most power in the city are the people that own the casinos, or these houses of, gambling. Yeah, I guess casinos. I don't think do they call them casinos? I think they do. All right. So the plot for Red Seas Under Red Skies. I give it an 8.9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I think it's quite clear in that it's going for a similar take, where it has the similarities with the first book. They're on a heist, or they're trying to do a heist, and this figure, or this overlord of this city, this warlord, if you will, basically captures them and puts them on another mission. And so then all of a sudden this heist that you thought was, this is what's important in the book, becomes secondary. And they're on a whole new heist, or a whole new challenge of just trickery. And it goes in such an opposite direction. It's crazy. And I think that's why it's a really all over the place is maybe not the best way to describe it. It's just so roller coastery. I don't know. It's just like it goes in one direction, and then it goes in another direction, and then it goes back into the complete opposite direction, and then goes up, and then it goes down. And you're all along, and it's great, and it's definitely exciting to read. But I think if you like books that are more steady, and there's a very simple plot, this is not it. This plot's all really crazy, and I really enjoy it for that, because there's so many twists and turns. There's so many just things that you're trying to learn. You're like, dang, how are they going to get out of this situation? Or like, how are they going to figure out how to get out of that? That it's really enjoyable for me, but for some people, maybe not so much. So that's why it's an 8.9. But also, actually, the world is also an 8.9. Because especially when it goes to the backstory, or like the flashbacks, when they're trying to recuperate after the first books, and how they're trying to overcome the tragedy of what happened in the first book, John and Locke go and they visit different places, right? As they're setting up for this heist that finally gets them back on their feet, that gets them motivated again. They are going to so many different places, and you get to learn more about the world. You get to learn more about the cultures in different cities, in Tel Varar, and the Sidon city, in these little towns that they visit. And it's actually really interesting. And you learn more about this world that Scott Lynch is trying to create, or has created for us to enjoy. And yeah, it's definitely that enjoyable. It's a fascinating place. There's so many similarities to our world, but then so many different cultures and religion and different aspects that make it new and refreshing. And I really enjoy it for that. There's still some questions that you're like, I don't really get that aspect, or I don't get what they're trying to do here. And that's why it can be maybe a little frustrating, especially when it comes to like the Bonds Magi and why they have magic, or why they are all powerful in a sense. And yeah, you want to know the answer to that, but you don't get it in this book. But that's okay, right? I think that's where the next book, and maybe the book after that, is explaining more. But overall, 8.9 for the world. The characters of this book are, again, what really drives it. John and Locke, that relationship between them, can't say it enough. It's beautiful. It's magnificent. It's wonderful. They have such a care for each other, where they would never do anything to hurt each other. And no matter how down one gets, the other one will pick them up. And I think that's so, you don't see that actually so often in books, where they have this, or like this, I guess, so pure relationship where, yeah, they struggle, they fight, They do it all the time in this book. They have difference of opinions, but yet no matter what, they will never leave each other. And I think it's really well written and well executed when it comes to how Scott Lynch writes this relationship. But also what really does well in this is the side characters. Once again, you really feel for them. These side characters aren't like another troop like the Sansa twins in the first book, or Bug in the first book. But it's just really just people that they meet along the way. But you actually really feel for them, especially when they're out in the Red Sea trying to battle against these pirates and trying to get completely immersed in their culture and convince them that they are themselves professional pirates. I guess that's a thing, right? Pro pirates. But this relationship between these pirates or the people that they're trying to, I guess, deceive is really interesting and fascinating. How the emotions really come out and how this relationship is. And actually, also really drives home the book. So characters in this book definitely is why you want to read it, similar to the first book. Because of those, the overall enjoyment for this book is a 9.2 out of 10. Again, this is probably the favorite book out of Scott Lynch's book or out of the series so far. I really enjoyed it. I think the twists and turns are exciting. You don't know where it's going next. You're really invested in the characters. You're invested in how they're growing and how they're overcoming challenges, struggles. And when they are victorious and they're able to, write home about how they pulled something off, it's exciting. And you are like totally there with them. But ultimately, I think it's just the craziness of the story and where it's going and how much you care for these characters is why I really enjoy this book. And I think if you read the first one, that's fine. You can enjoy it. It's great. But the second one is what really brings home this series for me. Extremely enjoy it. All right. So the quote that I picked for this book, I think it really shows. Anyways, here it goes. All right. How could you do that to me? I can't watch you die, said Locke flatly. I can't. You can't ask me to. And then John cuts him off. So you didn't even give me a choice. Yeah, I think that quote will tell you a lot, or it won't tell you anything. But if you read it, then you'll understand. I think it beautifully shows this relationship of John and Locke. Yeah, so this book, again, I really enjoyed it. I think it's definitely the strongest book in the series so far. I know he's still writing more, but the second one, definitely good, definitely worthwhile. I think the plot in the first one is extremely exciting, but this one just takes it up a notch, where it's just like even more crazier. And I think, again, the characters and how the relationship between John and Locke and then the side characters, or at least the main side characters, is so pure and so, you just get so invested almost everyone that you meet in this book. And so for me, I really, really enjoyed it and I highly recommend it. Again, the first book, you can just read it and finish there. If you read the second one, you're going to want to read the third one. Overall, amazing experience and I highly recommend it. So, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.